How to win the battle against anxiety and fear. I've known and worked with many people who have anxiety disorders. And you know what? Although it may sound strange in this context, subjects with anxiety disorder are not for me people who have a complex and so rare problem that it cannot be understandable. People have anxiety disorder or are depressed or are substance abusers. It seems more strange to understand why some people don't have all of these things together. Because everyone has a reason to be anxious. In fact, the main, deeply hidden reason we have for being anxious is because we know we are vulnerable and we know we are going to die. How you cannot be anxious under these circumstances is a great mystery, a huge mystery. The same is true with depression and to some extent with drug and alcohol use and abuse. There are many reasons to drown your conscience in alcohol. We sure could refer to the aforementioned anxiety and depression, not the least of which is the kind of drugs people are prone to taking. They are chemicals that remove the effective limit from the tragedy of life. And so, how to win the battle against anxiety and fear? Well, a subject who consciously decides to go ahead despite being aware of the danger is the one who actually represents the appropriate response in the face of the effective, not naive understanding of what constitutes life. What does it mean? If you're naive and go ahead, it is not courage. What the hell can you know about it? In naivety, you go forward because you don't know that you should stop, not understanding the dangers to fear. Being aware of what your problem is and therefore being existentially alert and being fully aware of it means that you are perfectly aware of your limitation and now you could be hurt and therefore make the decision to move forward into the unknown and into the land of the stranger anyway. This is, I would say, one of the secrets of a good life. And I can say this without the fear of contradiction because the clinical literature on this is very, very clear. What you do with people who are faithful and to a certain extent depressed, but certainly anxious, you have them explain first of all what causes anxiety, then in detail what it is that makes them afraid, what they imagine it could happen, and then it breaks down into small pieces, hypothetically manageable problems, and then you make people expose themselves to the thing that scares them. And what happens? It is not that they are less afraid. It's not what the clinical literature indicates. What exactly happens instead is that they become more courageous. And it is not the same thing, right? Because if you're less afraid, it's as if the world isn't as dangerous as you thought it was. Nonsense. That's not what happens if you get braver. But what happens is, yes, the damn world is just as dangerous as I thought, or maybe it's even more dangerous than I thought, but I've found that I have something in me that responds by voluntarily accepting the challenge, allowing me to grow and thrive as a result, and there is no doubt about it. The psychophysiological findings are also quite clear. If you expose two groups of people to a stressor, one group is involuntarily exposed to a stressor and the other group voluntarily choose to be exposed, the people who voluntarily choose use a completely different psychophysiological system to deal with it. They use the system associated with the challenge approach and not the system associated with defensive aggression and withdrawal. And the system associated with challenges is much more associated with positive emotion and much less associated with negative emotion. And it's also much less difficult for you because the defensive posture system is a prey animal system. Friends, when these things kick in, all the system work. You know the pedals are pushing all the way and the brakes are on. Right now, in the present, to prepare for the emergency, you are using future resources that you could save for future moments. So there is nothing simple and or trivial about the idea of being called upon to move forward straight into the strange and unknown. But experiencing it as a real adventure also makes it exciting and is one of the reasons why people travel. Then, also seeing yourself as the kind of creature that can do it and is willing to do it on a regular basis is the right kind of tonic for your self esteem. Because self esteem has nothing to do with feeling good about yourself. As I say, there is not necessarily a priori reason why you should just feel good about yourself. But if you can see yourself acting brave and outspoken, meeting the world and try to improve your lot, if you know you are not the naive type and you take risk, well, then you've got something you can console yourself with at night when you are wondering what's the damn point of your futile and miserable life. And that's necessary because it's often the reason you wake up at 4 in the morning, or at least sometimes it's the reason you wake up at 4 in the morning when things haven't gone so well and you wonder what the hell is the point of your life. You must have something real to counter that, and it can just be rationalizations, like knowing you are a valuable person to others, even if that is true. But it's not good enough. You need something more realistic to set against, and looking at the courage in yourself is definitely one of the things that can help you sleep soundly at night when things are a little unsettled around you.